Hi students, welcome back to class. In this class, I am going to continue Mrchchhakatika. In the last class, I spoke about Charudatta meeting Aryaka and how he tries to help Aryaka. So let's come to Act 8. So in Act 8, the scene is Sanstanaga's garden, that is Pushpakaranda flower garden. And here we can see a monk coming, and he is the egg smasher. If you remember this person, he is the one who plays at plays near the temple and who comes to Vasantasena. Vasantasena helps him, and he decides to become a monk. So we see this monk in the beginning of the play, and that is, we see him as a master. So he was the master of Charudatta. Later he becomes a gambler. He falls in debt. Vasantasena helps him, and now he is a monk. So this monk comes to the pool and he chants Buddha's mantras. Okay, we can see him chanting the incantations and speaks about renunciation of the worldly pleasures. So here we can see that in the beginning of the Act 8. And he comes here and he starts rinsing his robe in the pool. There is a pool in the Pushpakaranda flower garden, and he rinses his robe and he wants it to be dried there. So at this time, Sanstanaka meets this monk. Sanstanaka never likes any monk because once one monk happens to speak about his foolishness and his wickedness. So from that time onwards, Sanstanaka does not like any monk. So monk also knows that Sanstanaka will start blaming him. So he is a bit scared of this Sanstanaka. But the moment he sees this monk, he starts behaving rudely with him. And Portia understands that Sanstanaka behaves in a foolish and wicked manner with the people, and he tries to help the monk. He just tells that he is actually a new person only, has joined the monastery very recently. He tells him to look at his clothes and to look at his freshly shaved head. So he just tries to help this monk. So monk also just tries to show his respect to Sanstanaka. But Sanstanaka is not convinced of his respect, and he just says that Sanstanaka is savior. So Sanstanaka misunderstands this term and he thinks that he has called him shaver. But here Portia says that he has actually called him savior and he is praising Sanstanaka. And we can see the foolish the behavior of Sanstanaka. He just tells his monk to praise him more. So he likes to be flattered very much. So whoever flatters him will be benefited. So he just tells his monk to praise him more. So monk praises him more, but even then Sanstanaka is not happy with this monk, and he sees that this monk is again rinsing his robe, and he says that that garden is his garden, and how can he rinse his robe there? How can he use this pool for his purposes? And he gets angry with this monk. So here again we can see that rude behavior and the words with the monk. So Portia just tries to help him, and Portia just tells him to move away. That means he just gives signals to move away. So somehow this monk moves away from the place, because if he waits there, again he'll be getting ridiculed and harsh words from there. And he just says one more foolish thing. That is, he says that if he wants to stay there or he wants to make use of the pool there, he has to take the mud from the pool, or otherwise he should do it in such a way that the pool should not be, the water should not become dirty. So he has to take the mud from it. He has either to put the mud into it, or either he has to take the mud from the pool, but water should be clear. So this is impossible. So such impossible requirements will be given by Sanstanaka. He just wants to show that he's a powerful person and he can do anything, and everybody has to obey his whims and fancies. So that kind of an impression he's trying to give to the people around. So monk knows him. Monk understands that monk cannot do anything at this time. So that's why courtier just tells his monk to move away. So he just moves away, and courtier just tries to divert his attention to other things. So they have been waiting for Stavaraga to come, and it's been some time, and they have not seen Stavaraga till now. And he just starts shouting at Stavaraga, why is he taking such a lot of time, and what is happening to him? So he just keeps on shouting at him. So finally, Sansaniga sees Stavaraga coming. And when Stavaraga comes, he just tells Stavaraga to come through a narrow way. There is only a narrow opening, and Stavaraga tells it is very difficult for the oxen to come through the narrow way. But he does not pay attention to his words. He just forces him to come through the narrow way. And he says that if he comes through the narrow opening, oxen may get accident, oxen may meet with an accident, or either he may meet with an accident. Either oxen will die or he will die. So he says that if oxen die, nothing will happen. He will replace those oxen with a new oxen. But if he dies, he will have another driver. So Savaraga knows that he does not bother about anybody's life, but he says that he will be losing his life. Finally, he manages to get into the flower garden, figure in the flower garden through the narrow opening without harm to him or to oxen. And he just wants to go back to the palace, and he just tells courtier to go and take a look into the carriage, whether the inside of the carriage is neat, whether it is comfortable. So he just listens to these words, and he takes a move to go to the carriage. Immediately, Sanstanaka gets angry, and he says that how can he move? Because he is supposed to move first. That is, Sanstanaka is supposed to go to the chariot first. So here, courtier says that he has actually moved only because of the words of Sanstanaga. Sanstanaga says that if that is the case, you should say that you should go first. That is, our courtier should say that let Sanstanaga go first, and after that only he should try to go and look into the chariot. So here again, he just tries to use his power in a foolish way, or it's again a kind of misuse of power. That is what we see in the character of Sanstanaga. He wants his ego to be satisfied, and he wants all people around him to praise in one way or other way, and he just wants others to show their respect. Though they don't respect, he wants to think that others respect him. So he's a kind of forcing respect from others. That is the nature of Sanstanaga. Anyway, Sanstanaga goes into the chariot, and he just comes near the chariot, and he looks into the chariot. And when he looks into the chariot, he just sees another a woman inside, and he just gets scared, and he says it's a witch inside. So Vasantasena understands the danger, because when she hears Savaraga talking, she thinks that is not the sound of Vardhamanaga. It seems to be another person's carriage only, and she just feels that eye twitching, and she thinks it's a bad omen. Something is going to happen to her. What will happen to her? So all those anxieties and fears are there in her mind. It is at this time the Sansarga comes and have a look into the chariot, and he gets scared, and he thinks that it's a witch sitting in the chariot. So he just comes and tells that courtier that there's a witch inside a chariot. So courtier just comes to the carriage. Sorry, not chariot. Comes to the carriage, and he just looks into it. And when he looks into it, he says that okay, Vasantasena just talks to the courtier, and Vasantasena just begs his courtier not to reveal who she is. So immediately, courtier doubts the character of Vasantasena. He thinks that after all she is a courtesan. So courtesans will actually show that they are not interested in the other person, and finally they'll come to the person who has been giving the request. So that is what he thinks. So here it just says, I just read these lines. No, the deer follows the tiger. The swan runs after the crow, to Vasantasena. That you should do this, Vasantasena. I should never have believed it. First your pride says no, and now for the sake of money, because your mother tells you. So here itself, he just shows that Vasantasena is also ready to come to Sanstanaga for the sake of money. So he does not trust courtesans. After all, Vasantasena is a courtesan. That is what he thinks, and he just expresses his distrust also to Vasantasena. Vasantasena immediately says that it's again a mistake only. She has entered the carriage by mistake, and she requests him to help her. So here we can see our courtier trying to help, because courtier says that he will try to help, but again Sanstanaga wants to go back to the palace, and Sanstanaga says that he cannot walk all the way. So he just tries to make him think that he can walk all the way back to the palace, and that will be good only. But again Sanstanaga thinks that it will be a foolish thing for him to walk all the way back to the palace, and people will look at him and they will start laughing at him. So he does not want that to happen, and he thinks that he has to enter the carriage. So courtier does not have any option, because he understands that the Sanstanaga will come and sit in the carriage. So finally he says that there's no witch inside. It's actually Vasantasena who is seated inside. Now this Sanstanaga is very happy, and he thinks that finally she has come to him, because how can she reject such an important person like Sanstanaga? He is the brother-in-law of king. So when he is the brother-in-law of the king, no woman will dare to reject his offer. So that's what he thinks, and he's been thinking of Vasantasena. He even tells courtier that he's not able to forget this Vasantasena. So even courtier also talks to himself, and he says that he is such a kind of man who cannot accept a no from other women. So Sanstanaga comes to this woman Vasantasena, and he just tries to apologize, and he tries to request her love once again. And we know that Vasantasena is deeply in love with Charivata, and she will not have any interest in any other man. So here he just kneels down before Vasantasena, and here even he just tells her to forgive. So these are the words. He just says, "Please forgive the mistakes I made in the past. Yours sincerely, your lover, your slave." So here Vasantasena gets very angry, because she has already told this man that she is not interested in him, and she does not want him to disturb him any longer. But this man is not ready to listen to those words. And Vasantasena angrily, she just tells him, "Go away, you insult me." And what she does is that she spurns him with her feet. Okay, so that is something. She spurns him with her foot. Okay, with one leg only, she spurns him with her foot, and that is a kind of insult the Sanstanaga cannot bear, and he feels insulted, and he wants to take revenge, because how can he tolerate a woman kicking him on his head? That is what he thinks, and he just thinks that he has to kill her. That is the only way to show his revenge to this woman. And he tells this courtier and Savaraga that he wants to kill Vasantasena. Why should he be allowed to kill? So when he tells this to courtier and Vasantasena, courtier tells that he cannot assist him in that act, because he has his conscience. Conscience will not allow him, and he says that he cannot have a clear conscience if he assists him in that. So here Sanstanaga says that who is going to see that even if he assists? That means he just tells courtier to kill Vasantasena for him, and courtier tells that he cannot do that. And when he tells that nobody is going to watch him doing that, nobody will see that, no, there won't be any witness at all. So at that time courtier says this: there are the trees around, there are the insects and plants and all the things around, and these things will give evidence against him, and his conscience will prick him, and he cannot violate the laws of the conscience. That's what he says, and he forces Savaraga to do that for him, to kill Vasantasena for him. Savaraga also refuses. Savaraga says that he is born a slave, and he does not want to be born again as a slave in the next birth. So he is afraid to do such a crime, and Vasantasena is one of the finest citizens in Ujjain, and he cannot think about doing that. Stavrika also refuses to do that. So when Stavrika, a slave, refuses to kill Vasantasena for the sake of his master, Sanstanaga gets really angry and he just starts beating Sanstanaga. He keeps on beating him again and again and he forces him to do that. But Vasantasena feels pity for Stavrika and she just tells him not to beat him. And for her sake, he is bearing all this beating and she tells him again not to beat him at all. So we can see the compassion of Vasantasena and she does not want anybody to suffer. So here, this courtier understands that these two persons will not help him in any way. So he just tries to change his words. He just says that he has actually uh, pretended that he wants to kill her, but he does not want to kill her at all. He's not going to kill her. So he changes his words. So courtier just feels a bit relieved, and even Savrika also thinks that he has telling the truth. But even then, courtier thinks that this man cannot be trusted at all, and he says that he wants to spend some private time with Vasantasena. If he requests her personally, without being seen by others, she may agree, and he may be able to get his wish fulfilled. So he says that he wants some private time with her. So once that is mentioned, okay, courtier thinks that it is time for him to leave the place, and he allows this person to be there all alone, and Savrika has already left. So when Savrika has left, he tells this courtier to bring back Savrika, and the courtier again moves back. So courtier just pretends to leave, and he is scared to allow Vasantasena to be there with him. And even Vasantasena also requests him not to go, not to leave her all alone. But he says that nothing will happen, and he just leaves her all alone with this man, with the Sansthanika. He just pretends that he has left, but he hides behind the trees, and he sees what this man is doing. And Sansthanika knows very well that courtier does not trust him, so he just plucks a flower from the plant nearby, and he just wants to show that he is showing his love to Vasantasena. So when he observes this gesture of love, he thinks that okay, he is just trying to show his love for Vasantasena. There is no harm at all. So he just goes away, and he wants to bring back Stavrika as told by Sansthanika. And so here again we can see this man requesting, that is Sansthanika requesting Vasantasena to love him. So love cannot be forced upon anybody. So even when he requests also, she says that she cannot do that because she is already in love with Charudatta, and she can't think about looking at another man. She can't think about another man at all in her heart. And she very proudly says that she is in love with Charudatta. So that is the situation now, and she just says that how can she leave Charudatta? How can she leave a mango tree for a thorn bush? So that is what she says, and these images hurt him very well. Even now also he just pushes some gold into her hands, and she does not want gold or anything, and she says that she is in love with a good man. His love has given me honor. So Vasantasena will be getting honor by the love of Charudatta, because Charudatta is the finest citizen in Ujjain, and he is well known for his virtues. So this virtuous man loves Vasantasena. So that is a kind of prestige for Vasantasena. So she says that his love has given me honor. Shall I leave the mango tree and love her with the thorn bush? So that's what she says. She cannot think about leaving a mango tree and think about loving a thorn bush. So immediately Sansthanika understands that he is compared to a thorn bush. So he gets very insulted, and he says that he is not going to bear this any longer. And he just observes the surroundings, and he sees that nobody is around. So it's a time for him, and he just tries to strangle her. So even when he tries to strangle her also, even when he strangles her also, she says that she calls Charudata again and again. So even the sound of that word Charudatta that irritates him, and he says that, Charudatta, what can he do to some this woman at that moment? And Vasanta says that if he had known about her present situation, he would have come and helped her. So even when she faces death, she utters the name Charudatta. So she shows her love and commitment to the person whom she has loved very much. So she is strangled, and she falls unconscious. So he thinks that she is dead only, okay, because she is ice cold and she falls unconscious. She does not move at all. So here we can see Courtier and Stavriga coming back. They come back and they ask for Vasandasena. So here immediately he says that Vasandasena has gone away. She has gone to the southern side. She has gone to the northern side. So he'll just try to give some faint excuses to say that she has actually gone away from the place. But Courtier is not convinced of these words, and Courtier again asks him what has he done to Vasandasena. So at that time, Sansanga says that he has killed her, and he points to the dead body. So there is the dead body of Vasandasena. So Courtier just sees the dead body of Vasandasena, and he swoons immediately. He faints, because that's a shock for him. He faints, and when he comes back to consciousness, Sansanaga tries to drive this Courtier, and he tells that he just puts some gold coins and some money into his hands, and he tells that let him take the guilt. And he is just trying to put the blame on him, the guilt on him completely, and he's just trying to say that it is Courtier who has killed her. So Courtier understands that it is very dangerous for him if he remains there, and he runs away from the place. And Stavriga is also forced to take some bribe and accept that. Stavriga also does not accept the bribe, but immediately he sends back Stavriga to the palace, and he sees that Stavriga will be arrested immediately, because he will be sending some order, and he sees that Stavriga will be arrested immediately, so that there won't be anybody to give witness to what he has done. So Sansanaga, he hides the dead body under the leaves. He hides the body of Vasandasena, not the dead body. He hides the body of Vasandasena under the leaves, because he knows that this should be hidden somewhere. If these people come back and create problems, that will be a problem. So he just tries to find out a place to hide the body, and he just sees the leaves. Some leaves are there. So under this heap of leaves, he hides it, and so he thinks that he can cook up a plan. He decides to accuse Charudatta of the crime, because Charudatta is poor and nobody will trust the words of Charudatta. So it is very easy to put the blame on Charudatta, to put the crime on Charudatta, and you can say that Charudatta has strangled Vasandasena for jewels. In that way, he will be able to take revenge on Charudatta. His hurt ego, his hurt pride will be avenged. Okay, that will be avenged. So that is the way he will be trying to show them. And now at this time, we can see a monk who is already there. So he rinses his robe, and he wants to dry this robe. So he does not find a place to dry the robe, and he just sees this heap of leaves. So when he sees the heap of leaves, he thinks that okay, he can just put this robe on the heap of leaves, and he can allow this robe to be dried. And when he just keeps a robe on the heap of leaves, the water, the moisture from this robe, it goes inside. So the body that is under the heap of leaves, it just comes back to consciousness, and a sigh is heard, and he can see a hand also coming out of the heap. He is shocked only, but again when he just sees the hand, he recognizes the hand. Even before that, he has been thinking about Vasandasena, who has helped him to come out of the debt of the gambling, and how he owes to her. He has been thinking of that. So it is at that time only he sees his hand, and he immediately recognizes his hand, and he thinks that this is the hand that has helped him. So she just wakes up slowly. She wakes up, but again she cannot stand on her feet. So he sees a creeper, and he allows this creeper to be brought towards Vasandasena, and he helps her to stand with the help of the creeper. So he understands that Vasandasena needs some care. So there is a hermitage nearby. There's a hermitage near this Pushpakaranda flower garden, and he decides to take her to the hermitage nearby so that she'll be able to recover completely. The sister nearby, there is a woman living nearby in the hermitage, and this woman will take care of her and she'll be able to recover. So that is what he thinks, and he helps her to go to the hermitage. So she will be taken to the hermitage nearby. So here in this act, we can see Sanstanaga's rude behavior, okay, and a cruel behavior. With the monk we have seen, with Stavaraga we have seen, with Kote yes we have seen, with Vasandasena we have seen the rude behavior. So he is rude with everybody, and his ego has to be satisfied always. That is what he wants. He wants all people to flatter him, and he wants all people to think that he is the brother-in-law of a king and nobody should question him in any way. And he demands respect from everybody, but he does not deserve respect in any way. So that is what he does with Vasandasena also. He just tries to show that he is a person who's honorable, who should be loved. But again, love cannot be forced upon Vasandasena. So we can see this shameless character in him, because he's a shameless character who keeps on pestering Vasandasena. Even when Vasandasena rejects him, he again and again asks her to love him. But when his ego is completely hurt, he cannot bear that no from her, and he decides to kill her. And here also we can see the role of chance and fate in bringing this Vasandasena to Sanstanga. If you think about the previous act, we have already seen Vasandasena entering the wrong chariot and coming to Pushpakaranda flower garden, and Arika entering the wrong the wrong carriage, and he is saved by Charudatta. So here there is fate. Okay, this is again, by chance he enters this chariot or this carriage. Okay, so in that way she comes to Sansanga. So there is always the role of chance and fate bringing Vasandasena to Sanstanaga. This is how the plot is unfolding. The plot is developing in that way. We can see the action of the plot developing. And we can always see the social perception about courtesans, because they always have a disrespect of courtesans. Courtesans are not respected in the society. They have money. They have seen like prostitutes. They are supposed to entertain king and the people of the royal family. Whoever gives money will be entertained. That is what people think about courtesans. They think that courtesans are just like butterflies, which will go from one flower to another flower in search of honey. So that is, or like bees, which will be going from one flower to another in search of honey. So that kind of an impression is there always about courtesan. That is why when courtier sees Vasandasena in the carriage, he says, after all, you are courtesan. You are a courtesan only. So there is always the disrespect of courtesan. Even though Vasandasena has been behaving in a very dignified and in a very honorable way, we can see the stigma of belonging to the category of courtesans. And we can see the compassion of Vasandasena even when Stavaraga is beaten by Sanstanaga. She feels pity for Stavaraga, and she requests Sanstanaga to stop beating Stavaraga. So that compassionate nature can be seen in her. So from the very beginning till the very end of the play, we can see the compassionate nature of this lady, Vasandasena. And this is again a sudden reversal of situations, because we never think that Vasandasena is going to be killed, but all of a sudden the Sanstanaga just strangles her, and he thinks that he is killed. Here also we can see dramatic irony, because the spectators know that Vasandasena is not killed, but the characters in the play think that Vasandasena is killed. Except for monk, all others in the play who are directly related to Vasandasena, or who hear about Vasandasena, think that she is killed. So that dramatic irony can be seen in this play also. Okay, things which are hidden to the characters are revealed to the audience. So that's a kind of ironical situation. So that is shown in this play also. Then we can see a tragic turn of events, because all of a sudden we can see Vasanta being strangled and she will be missing for some time. And here we have already seen Sanstanaga going to the court of justice, and he wants to accuse Charadatta of the crime. So then I have already told you about the ex master. So in the beginning we see Vasantasena saving the ex master, and here ex master gets a chance, or the monk gets a chance to save Vasantasena. So the role of ex master in saving Vasantasena, so that shows, is shown here. So in the second act, we may think, why this gambler scene is shown here. So the gambler scene has an importance here, because it is through gambler scene we come to see this ex-master, that is the person who becomes a monk later. So each scene has a role in the play. So the unity of action can be seen very much in the play. So if one scene is taken away from the play, there will be a disturbance of the entire structure of the play and the unity of action. So that is what I have to speak about this particular act. With that, I am coming to the closure. So thank you, students. All of you take care of your health. Keep on listening to the recorded lectures. Don't be negligent in your studies. You have only a few months to complete your course. So be focused. So students, bye.